So recently, I've seen some criticism that's being directed at the hunting community in Canada. We're being called a bunch of fuds that got our heads buried in the sand over this gun control debate, that we don't think that the future gun control amendments are going to come after hunting firearms. You can go on social media or chat forums and you can find people that are misinformed, that deny what's going on, and they've got really negative, toxic attitudes. But that toxic minority, that toxic fringe minority, does not represent the majority of hunters in Canada. So, what have hunters been contributing to this fight over gun control in this country? Hunting and angling federations in every province across the country have firearms subcommittees. Some of them have retained experts in the field of firearms and firearms crimes, and they go to Ottawa and they lobby the MPs and the senators. When the big debate a few years ago came up about the military assault style weapon ban, and the federal government said, oh, don't worry, we're not coming after hunting firearms. The Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters commissioned policy advisor Matt DeMille, and he looked at this question: what is the legal definition of a hunting firearm in Canada? And he presented a big report to the federal government that basically said there is no definition, no line that separates a hunting firearm from a non-hunting firearm. And therefore, hunting firearms, non-restricted hunting firearms, could be subject to this assault weapon ban. Small fish and game clubs across the country have been working hard to raise funds to give to national firearms rights organizations. And that's a big deal for some of these little hunting clubs. They're small. Some of them only have a dozen or 24 members. And some of the dollar figures that I've seen that these clubs are raising and handing over to these national groups, that's a lot of money for those clubs. It's a substantial portion of their fundraising efforts that isn't going to wildlife habitat and conservation. It's going to this national gun control fight. Jim Shockey even testified before the Standing Committee on Public Safety and National Security on the topic of gun control. MP Blaine Calkins from Alberta is a hunter, and he has been in the House and Commons time and time and time again fighting for the rights of firearms owners in this country. A hunter, not just hunters' rights to have firearms, but standing up for all firearms users in this country. Blaine was even on Robbie's podcast, and he was explaining to Americans and hunters elsewhere in the world what was going on in Canada. We've been covering podcasts for a couple of years now, keeping people informed and up to date and what you can do to get involved. And we've partnered with Howl for Wildlife down in the US. And as far as I know, we're the only Canadian organization that's helped orchestrate international campaigns targeting federal MPs and senators from hunters outside of Canada, targeting them, saying that they're concerned about gun control and they're skeptical about coming to this country for hunting tourism. But the most powerful example I've seen that addresses this question, what have hunters been doing in the gun control debate, is a single hunter that went up against the Prime Minister of this country and buckled the federal government. 2 years ago, hunter and goaltender for the Montreal Canadiens, Carey Price, made a social media post that said, I'm a hunter. I love my country, but I am not a threat to my community. And that kicked off this national media feeding frenzy that brought the federal government to its knees. And after that, they rescinded the two controversial amendments to Bill C-21 that we're going to scoop hundreds and hundreds of models of hunting firearms and shotguns. That's what hunters have done in this debate. We are standing united with sport shooters, trappers, and farmers. And I'm here to stand up for the good Canadian hunters that make up the majority of hunters across this country, because they're damn fine people. And we are definitely in this fight.